recording this meeting. Joe, if you're listening, I think it worked. So you are free to leave the session now. Thank you. So let me share with all of you the agenda. And I must admit, I took the liberty to do some adjustments. The first, I will begin by addressing the 100% renewable energy cities and regions network, and go into the detail of what ICLEI is proposing to offer here, and what is our strategy, the strategy that we are proposing. And only afterwards I will address the global campaign. And this separation is done in a very intentional way. And I think when we get to the section on the global campaign, it will become clear to all of you why this is so. So I ask you for your patience here in this regard. But I would definitely like to have your intervention throughout the session, as mentioned earlier. I would also like to go into the detail of discussing some events with you, like, for example, the participation at the COP. I would also like to discuss possible partnerships, and thank you to the South Asia Secretariat. They will be presenting also on some of the resources and tools that are available from different organizations and sources. And then at the end, of course, we can exchange.
Morning, more.
Hello, good morning.
Patrick's more senior.
Good morning.
He won't be there.
Good morning and welcome, Stephen. Stephen, can you hear us? I'm going to ask you to please mute your microphone. We are hearing your conversation in the background. Thank you. Thank you. I see you. So very briefly, a motivation slide. So why are local governments interested in renewable energy? I'm sure most of these topics are already familiar with to all of you, and please feel free to add more items if we've missed some of the important ones. So first, the use of local renewable resources is a way to keep money, to keep funds in the community. It's also an opportunity to create local jobs and to stimulate the economy, to contribute to energy security and community resilience. It's a way to save energy, to save money, both, for example, in what pertains to energy distribution losses, but also in terms of investment in energy infrastructure to cover the rising demand. So definitely benefits there as well. It's an opportunity to reduce air pollution and the greenhouse gas emissions, to promote sustainable urban development, contribute to climate protection, support the achievement of national and international targets. So this topic is definitely of a lot of interest, and many local governments are actually already aware of these benefits. Please feel free to add more. I'll keep an eye out on the chat for now. But let me move quickly to introduce to you the 100% renewable energy cities and regions network. This network was actually officially launched at the ICLEI World Congress by Kumar in a session in which several cities participated, including Vancouver, for example, through Angela. Now I missed the correct name. Reimer, I can only remember the last name. Andrea Reimer. So this network, the purpose of the network is to bring together the local governments that are driving the transition, or that want to contribute to drive the transition towards 100% renewable energy. The intent of the network is to facilitate networking, peer learning, cooperation between the local governments, as well as to facilitate contacts with experts on renewable energies and other relevant topics. Why? Because indeed there are challenges associated with pursuing such an ambitious target, and these challenges can be of different nature: regulatory, technical, logistical, etc. So it's important to build this community of practice to drive change. In terms of conditions to join the network, This is intended to be an inclusive network, open to all cities, towns, and regions, free of charge. But there is indeed a requirement regarding the political commitment of the local government. The local government should already have adopted a 100% renewable energy target. And here it indicates in at least one sector, and this can be, for example, in the electricity sector, heating and cooling, transport, or at least we would expect that the local government has a clear political interest in exploring the pursuit of a 100% renewable energy pathway in the jurisdiction, in the community. So this is what we are looking for, what we are aiming for. As I told you, it's an open, inclusive network. Of course, our main focus, our attention will be particularly for ECLAI members, but there are also other cities with whom we also have a working relationship, and we definitely are interested in bringing them in. Or even this can be an entry door to start building new relationships. So this is the introduction. How about the benefits for cities to participate, cities and regions? As I mentioned, the purpose is to facilitate networking, learning, and cooperation opportunities between the cities. So both to connect leading cities among themselves, but also to give an opportunity for learning cities to connect with more advanced cities in this community of practice. It's an opportunity to give visibility to the local leaders and to provide them at global events, like, for example, the COP, but certainly others as well. We will provide thematic guidance, workshops, and support. We will offer access to renewable energy experts, but also to energy efficiency experts. Indeed, usually the local renewable resources are limited, and so indeed to invest in energy efficiency is a very important step at the beginning of this process. So definitely we can help cities come together with the necessary experts to support them in the process. And of course, cities can also benefit from worldwide recognition of the local progress, and they can use this opportunity to profile their local experts, their local companies, etc., and help them to expand and export their services to other places in the world. Of course, ECLAI members, as I was mentioning before, will have increased opportunities by comparison to other cities, and this is in what pertains to resources and access to experts, invitations to events, and so on. Welcome to another colleague that just joined. I would ask you to please mute your microphone for now, but feel free to unmute yourself whenever needed and jump in to ask questions or make comments. In any case, I'm happy to say that I will ask you some specific information, and I look forward to engaging you in an interactive debate. So very soon, very soon. Let me just go through this initial introduction. So this is the vision that we have here at the World Secretariat, and we definitely want your input on this, on what you think. The idea is to enable cities to really take a leading role in expanding and in steering this network. For example, Monica is very keen to have Mayor Gregor Robertson from Vancouver taking a leading role in this regard, and even in having him reach out to other cities at mayoral level as well to bring them to the network. So definitely, the idea of having cities engaging as ambassadors to the network can be very powerful. This can be very powerful by comparison as to having eClay reaching out. So this is an idea we want to leave to you, and we want to discuss with you. So here's the example from Vancouver. The Vancouver City Council voted on a 100% renewable energy target, and this was a unanimous vote. So it's always very good and very mobilizing to hear. But so regarding the different roles that the cities can take within the campaign, of course, cities have different entry points, and there are those cities that are clearly leaders, and basically these are those that we are defining as cities that have established a 100% renewable energy target, have put in place a framework to promote the achievement of that target, and that are progressing towards it. Then we have potential leaders, cities that have just approved the target and that are taking now the steps needed to create an enabling framework. And this includes, of course, policy setting, stakeholder engagement, etc. And then the learning cities, those cities that are interested indeed in exploring a political commitment and setting a target in this field. So here I'm also showing you information from one potential leader in the network, another potential leader, Stockholm in this case. They have a 100% renewable energy target to be achieved at community scale by 250. And indeed, they have reported in Carbon a considerable set of measures to achieve this target. So it's a very interesting case, and we definitely will be looking at the type of actions that they are exploring. And indeed, although we don't have information about the energy matrix and the percentage of renewable energy in carbon that Stockholm currently has, but at least in terms of greenhouse gas emissions reduction, their efforts are already paying out. From 1990 to 2009, as you see there, they had a reduction in emissions of over 20% despite the growth, the population growth, and this corresponds to approximately 1% reduction in the emissions per year. So definitely a good case to look into. The one thing that we would propose to you and that we would like to have is that we would create these little profiles, city profiles of the cities engaged in the network, so that we can use in the communication materials, website, brochure, etc. And we think this indeed can be inspiring and also very useful to facilitate and motivate the connections between the cities. So, okay, I've already talked a lot, and thank you for your patience. And I would like to ask you if at this point you would like to recommend cities to bring into the network. Of course, I understand we are still very early in the session, and I still have a lot of information that I want to share with you. And I will bring this subject once again in a few minutes. But if you'd like to provide any input at this time, it would be very positive. I would very much like to hear it. So we would be looking, as I mentioned, to cities that are exploring targets, ambitious targets in renewable energy, are exploring setting the framework. So looking forward to hear from you. Okay, I don't see any comments for now, but I hope I will give you some moments to think about this, and I hope you'll be able to give some suggestions still during this session. But just in case, let me show you a table with some of the 100% renewable energy targets at community scale that have already been reported in Carbon. Even as you saw in the previous slide on Stockholm, the information that I used comes from Carbon, was reported there, and here you see some additional cities that have made such commitments, and I would be very interested to look at what's the status of cities like Cincinnati, Evanston, for example. So I hope to hear more from you on this. So now definitely this is something I would like to hear from you as well. What support do cities need, in your perspective, for the engagement in such an initiative, in such a network? What do you think we need to provide to the cities? And I would invite you to unmute yourselves and comment. I of course have a slide prepared on some of the offers that we do, but before I condition you, I would very much like to hear from you on the things that on the ground you feel most need for.
Hi, Anna. It's Angie Fife from the US.
Hello, Angie.
Good morning. Very early here. So, I think that this idea of having a mayor lead the network is a good idea because I believe that some of our leaders, our elected officials, will feel that they need some political cover, so to speak, and so they're going to want to see that other mayors are making this commitment. And hearing from their peers, I think, will help to drive their participation. So I think that's a good thing.
Thank you, Angie. That's very good to hear. Any other comments on any of the
Anna,
issues?
Siegfried here.
Hi, Siegfried. Go ahead, please.
Hi. You mentioned already case studies, and I think that would be very worthwhile for the cities to have, particularly if they include how have cities actually gone about it in moving towards their target. Political commitment is one thing, but of course the next question always is, okay, how can we actually get there? And any good examples we can show them, or even technical advice that's targeted for them specifically, that would be of great help to them.
Thanks for that, Siegfried. Definitely, we want to look at that in detail. Actually, let me ask you a question. Since you are based at the European Secretariat, in case you are familiar with the RES Champions League, this was a project funded by the European Commission, if I understand correctly, and they supported the development of an online platform where actually there are cities from different countries in Europe that indicate the electricity, the renewable electricity, heating and cooling that they are producing already. And in it, several of these communities, I should say communities, not necessarily cities, are actually reaching this target. So this at least sectorial target. And many have gone beyond and are exporting. And so my question is whether you'd have information on whether some of the cities that are participating in this Champions League might also be Eclaim members.
I haven't done the comparison yet, and I'm not that familiar with the Champions League either. But in Germany there is the 100% erneuerbare Energieregionen, so 100% renewable energy regions. and there is a European equivalent, and the two are linked, the 100% race communities. And there are maps around, lists around which cities have actually joined and how far they got.
Mm-hmm.
So for both these initiatives, there are actually quite a lot of communities and regions that have gone pretty far down the track already.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll definitely be looking into these cases and pulling resources. And also that idea that I was mentioning to you of doing the brief mini city profiles for our communication materials. This would be, of course, for the marketing of the idea for communication purposes, but it would be great if indeed then we could link that brief profile to a more detailed case study, and we'll definitely be exploring that. So thanks for this. There will be more on resources available. We'll still discuss more on this. Any other comments and either ideas on cities we could engage, other reactions to the possibility of having mayors engaging in this expansion and steering of the network? Any other comments are very welcome, of course.
Hi, Anna.
Mm-hmm.
This is Mike Steinhop.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. I started a little bit late, and I'm sorry if I missed this, but one of the things that sort of strikes me that cities may need is, for a long time we have dealt with sort of a challenge on how do you present local renewable energy development in the context of an inventory, of course, and I think we talked a little bit about this previously. I think that cities are going to need a lot of support, especially given the way that we've treated this in the past, that yes, you can have 100% local renewable, but to say that all the energy that gets consumed in the city is renewable and therefore it's totally carbon free is not exactly true. That sort of nuance, I think, is something that is difficult for even us to explain, and I think cities have a really hard time recognizing that reality, and then how do they communicate that back out to their constituents that say, oh well, we have 100% renewable energy, but we don't have it doesn't show it in the inventory. So will we be making space on both sides for like say in Carbon to have sort of the market-based inventory and the physical reality inventory. I think all of that sort of infrastructure to hold both perspectives will need to be in place as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you very much for flagging that, Mike. Definitely, we can prepare brief communication materials or more informational material to explain the difference between 100% renewable energy and carbon neutrality, and in a condensed synthetic way, in a simple language to make it easy to understand. So definitely I've listed it, and we'll take that task on. Regarding the issue that you were raising on Carbon, thank you as well for bringing that up. Indeed, we are including in Carbon not just the inventory of the greenhouse gas emissions as before, but we are bringing to the performance reporting sheet, let's say, information on the energy matrix of the city and on the percentage of renewable energy that the city is using. So this used to be an entry that was connected to targets on energy, and we have now done the change and brought this information to the performance where it makes sense. And so we will encourage the cities that want to join in this network, that want to join in this effort, to report on that information as well. Indeed, as you were saying, 100% renewable energy covers the energy sector. It does not cover the other emitting sectors, such as waste, for example, land use change, etc., etc. So we'll make sure to communicate this appropriately. Thank you very much for flagging this. What are the support do you feel the need for on your work with cities? Adi, would you like to go ahead?
So maybe one question and a comment. So the question around support, like it would be very useful for us to understand some sort of finance mechanisms that are available for renewable energy. So how can we access finance? What are the mechanisms that are available to allow cities to achieve this goal? And secondly, perhaps just a bit more nuance in terms of like how cities would commit to something like this. I mean, for instance, in South Africa, energy sales contribute a lot of revenue to the cities. So committing to renewable energy actually is a bit of a ironical situation. So I think there's a bit of nuance in terms of like how it contextualizes and how cities would adapt to a revenue model where they actually generate some revenue out of they are generating a lot of revenue out of the energy sector currently, and how switching to a renewable energy model would have a different impact in terms of the revenue model. So it's just a contextual question, and perhaps it needs to be addressed when we engage with the cities, but I would like some input from some of the other folks there.
Thank you very much, Adi, and noted, definitely. Would any other would the colleagues like to reply to this, as Adi was suggesting? I can provide some information actually as well. But definitely, this is a topic where we need to continue to explore and to help cities make the case on the business case regarding renewable energy. So there will be more coming in the future regarding this issue. And we need to do some background work there for sure. In any case, I can say that it may be useful, and South Africa is indeed a particular case, since, as you mentioned, municipalities have an important source of revenue from the energy sales. But while I was preparing for this webinar, I was browsing in some of the actions that were reported, and in Carbon, and I noticed that Cape Town. And we can cross-check this information to make sure that it is correct. Cape Town reports in the actions area, not exactly in the targets as far as I could tell, reports having a target of reaching 20% renewable energy by 2020. So perhaps even in your national local context, will be interesting to take a look at what Cape Town is doing and where they are finding their sources of finance, how they are structuring the project programs that they are building regarding this. So Cape Town is, for example, one city I'm interested in, because it's also, of course, in the context of a developing country. So I'm definitely very interested in learning more about that case.
Sure. And I can give a very quick response if you want.
Oh yes,
if it's
please.
interesting to others.
Yes, absolutely, Stephen. Go ahead.
I think what's happening internally in Cape Town is a bit of a battle between different departments. So the Energy and Climate Change unit has really had a lot of success in the past at pushing the electricity savings agenda because of the positive effect it has on reducing load shedding, which is when our national electricity provider switches off the electricity because there's not enough capacity in the grid. That happens frequently. So they managed to convince the electricity department to promote electricity savings and part of their renewable energy campaign on that basis. But it's since had quite an impact on revenue, or at least that's the perception. it's actually quite difficult to pinpoint what is causing the flatlining in sales of electricity in Cape Town. But one of the answers might be energy efficiency and renewable energy that people are putting in. And since then, there's been a lot more tension, and I know that the electricity department pulled some of their funding for the electricity savings campaign on that basis. So it's a matter of institutional will and which department's on top and which is able to convince the other one that it's in their long-term interests. So there's a really very live debate going on here in South Africa about that. That's just one insight into that story.
Thanks, Stephen. Definitely very good to get that background. And really highlighting the type of challenges facing when dealing with this topic. So definitely more exchange is needed to help us move forward in this. Okay, thank you. Very good. Thank you very much to all of you. And please, regarding the questions that are being raised in the session, please feel free to get back to me at a later date once you have more time to think about these topics, and we'll be happy to make sure that that we address the issues that you raise. So I'd like to present to you now some of the offer. So basically the key resources that we are offering to cities to support their engagement in this process and in the network. So of course, this is just the overview slide. For the low carbon framework, we have, of course, the GCC methodology, and in some regions, the CCP methodology. Regarding process, we have the local renewable project steps, and I'll show you a slide on this just in case you are not familiar with it. Regarding capacity building on renewable energy and energy efficiency, we can use the Solutions Gateway, and this is very relevant, I would say, even particularly to those cities that are not that large, that don't have that much capacity to invest in having a lot of highly qualified internal resources on this specific topic. So the Solutions Gateway can be particularly a great help. Building around the same topics, we can provide thematic webinars to cover the different regions in convenient schedules, of course. The case studies, as Siegfried mentioned earlier. Also very relevant, a tool for to build scenarios. It's an energy future scenarios tool, which has its main purpose really building consensus, engaging stakeholders, the key stakeholders for the energy systems, bringing them together to create a consensus towards future scenarios. And I'll tell you more about this as well. Regarding access to experts, we can offer the pool of experts, and regarding monitoring and reporting the Carbon Climate Registry. So let's dig a little deeper regarding the step-by-step guidance on local renewables. I don't know if all of the offices present in the call are familiar with this, but of course this is already covering some of the important steps, like for example the compilation of the city energy status report, the analysis of the local renewable potential. So these are definitely very important steps in this process. Regarding the capacity building and the Solutions Gateway, I expect most of you have already heard of this, but in any case, let me say it very briefly. So this is an online platform which is available for local governments, free of charge, and it provides guidance that is really tailor-made to the usual roles and mandates of the local governments. And it is unique in the sense that it provides integrated solutions. So it doesn't just focus on technology and finance, it also includes policy setting, governance, capacity building, etc., etc. So to create a group of actions that includes the enablers and the multipliers to maximize the impact. So this is one resource that is available. Regarding the contents that we can put online, and here's a listing of possible themes for solution packages, and of course also for webinars engaging experts, and ideally in the webinars that I would like to have, ideally we should have both cities sharing their experiences, and also the private sector and experts sharing information from their side as well. So some of the topics here, and definitely I would like to get your input on this. Some are, for example, renewable power generation, at utility level, and this would need to be developed from scratch. We don't have information on this online yet. Turning waste into energy already has 3 solutions online. For example, through waste incineration, anaerobic digestion of sewage sludge to generate biogas, and one as well on landfill gas recovery. Regarding district energy systems, let me highlight that the existence of district energy systems really is an opportunity for cities to very quickly transition to renewable energy, because with one intervention, with changing the energy sources that you use for the system, you can immediately reach numerous consumers, impact on the emissions that are indirectly generated by those consumption points. So it's of a lot of interest, and we are currently drafting a solution on district heating, and during the beginning of 2016 we hope to draft then another on district cooling systems. Decentralized power generation. This would include, of course, solar, wind, heat pumps, smart grids. It could include a lot, and we of course welcome your input. This once again needs to be developed from scratch. We don't have content online yet. Renewable energies in buildings. I'm sorry, I mentioned heat pumps. I was actually thinking of renewable energy in buildings. Sorry about that. But also in renewable energy in buildings, there's a lot of contents to develop yet. So far, we have basically solar thermal, a solar thermal package. But there's a lot to do regarding, for example, PV. But more and more. It would also be good to develop a solution on renewable energy procurement for example, the local government operations, but even at community scale through aggregation. And a very challenging topic, renewable energy in transport, but something that is definitely of interest. So I would like to hear from you on where you feel the local and regional priorities are, and also if you'd like to pool existing resources and case studies in any of this topic. So opening the floor back to you again.
Anna, this is Mike Steinhoff again. Is there any thought that we would also be providing additional support around the purchase of credits as you know, yet another way to meet the goal? Again, I'm sorry if I missed this earlier, but I know that at least U.S. cities certainly it's something that they rely on. In some cases, quite a bit is purchasing renewable energy credits to make a claim towards some renewable energy goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good question to think about. So far, what has been discussed, and this goes a little bit beyond the cities and regions network, and now I'm already thinking of the campaign, the global campaign. What has been discussed so far is that indeed the emphasis is on the local renewables, but of course the some areas, some jurisdictions may not have the possibility to generate renewable energies within their boundaries. They may not have the resources. Of course, so partnerships are encouraged. And so within that context, the purchasing of those credits would fit in. Absolutely. And it would be a way for the local government to encourage renewable energy, even if not in its territory. So let me take note of this issue that you raise. I'll get back to you later on with more details, okay? All right, noted. Okay, thanks for that. Could I hear from you regarding the priorities? Would you prefer that we put emphasis on some of these topics? I can tell you that so far the contents that we have available in the Solutions Gateway, they reflect some of the priorities that the urban-led cities have indicated before. That's why, for example, renewable power generation at utility level has not been included, because it is something that very often is in the hands, for example, of a regional authority, for example. But these are still topics that are relevant regarding the 100% renewables. So I would like to hear from you if you'd like to emphasize, to put priority on some of these issues, or even, of course, to suggest others.
Hi, Mike Steinhoff again. In terms of priorities, I mean, one thing that definitely caught my ear when you were talking about waste to energy systems is you did mention incineration, and I wonder if there's thought. I mean, within that, I think of those in terms of all waste to energy, that there is a preferred order in which you do that, and where incineration is the option of last resort. I wonder, and in some cases, I think it even turns out to be possibly a negative for climate, especially if the rest of the electricity that's available is becoming actually 100% renewable and carbon-free. In that case, I think that incineration becomes even more sort of problematic from an accounting view, and I wonder, yeah, how we deal with that, if that's one of the sort of qualifying technologies.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for that, Michael. Mike, you are raising such good questions. Thank you. First, to say that in the Solutions Gateway, the package on turning waste into energy goes side by side with the package on sustainable waste management, which has a solution specifically focusing on integrated solid waste management, and has solutions that then look at the different waste management options: waste reduction at the source, recycling, composting, for example, etc. So definitely guidance is provided with a clear reference to the waste management hierarchy, giving preference to waste reduction and then material recovery, and only after that energy recovery. And as you are saying, for example, in this incineration, some of the waste that is incinerated cannot be considered renewable. It derives from fossils, like, for example, plastic waste, as you mentioned. So that definitely cannot be accounted as renewable energy. Only a fraction of the total energy generated through incineration with energy recovery. In any case, we consider that it's still a solution to be considered, and it's relevant in different dimensions. So it's not just from the perspective of waste. Not just in the perspective of energy. When we are talking about, for example, very large cities that don't really have space to manage waste, and of course this should be considered in the hierarchy of waste management, as you were very well pointing out. So giving preference to the other aspects before incineration. Absolutely. I hope you're happy with this can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, very good. All right, so if there's not more on this, let me move to the next slide. Regarding the GREEP tool, I should talk about the GREEP tool and process actually. So the GREEP, the full name is Greenhouse Gas Emissions Regional Inventory Protocol. It actually has a component really for inventories, as the name says, but of course, as we have internal tools for that purpose, we don't explore that functionality of the tool. We are only interested in the functionality that deals with the scenarios, energy future scenarios. What is interesting about the tool is that it looks at the energy system in a holistic approach. So to make sure that if you change something in the right direction in a given sector, in a given area, that to make sure that then you don't cause a negative effect in a different sector. So it's interesting in that perspective. It is really supported by a process that includes stakeholder identification regarding the key stakeholders involved in energy management in the city, energy generation, consumption, and so on. This process can indeed have an important contribute to mobilize stakeholders, to bring them together towards a vision, and also to try to seek consensus when there can be indeed conflicting interests, as for example Stephen and Adi were raising earlier. How to bring the different perspectives into a consensus solution that indeed serves the community well. So this is a tool that was developed by a gentleman, Dr. Sebastian Carney. This has been tested in over 20 cities, most of them in Europe, but I believe also some in the US. The tool has been recommended by the Covenant of Mayors and has been recognized by other entities as an example of excellence, and including in research. So it's an interesting tool to use that is available to us, to ICLEI, both the staff and the cities, the member cities. It's free of charge. This is based on an MOU that ICLEI has signed with the owner of the tool, with Sebastian Carney. And here the element is that the trick, let's say, is that training can only be delivered by a qualified trainer. So for you to be able to actually lead, to facilitate such a workshop, you should first get training. And of course, here at the World Secretariat, we are interested in organizing such a training for the staff. We would, for example, suggest that we implement such a process and workshop with a European city, for example, Bonn, would be a convenient option. But we are happy to discuss other options, of course, with Siegfried and the European Secretariat. But we would, if we go forward with that, and I believe we still have an opportunity to fund that through Urban Labs, we would of course invite you to come along. You would be very welcome. But of course, details regarding traveling and so on, I don't think we would be able to cover directly. So, but if you are interested in this, please let us know, and we would be very happy to explore what we can do regarding this. The tool itself has a very flashy dashboard with knobs. It's very simple to use, but more important than the tool itself is the process that is implemented, the process of bringing the stakeholders together and to try to come to a consensus regarding a future scenario. So it's definitely an interesting tool. Regarding the facilitation of access to experts, we can use the pool of experts. I'm sure you've also heard of this. It's set up as a LinkedIn group. We can indeed create a subgroup on renewable energies that I would suggest would be as a cross-sectoral group. And we would be very interested to hear from you if you'd like to engage in this. So to be able to invite experts and cities to this group so that they can exchange directly, you'd have to be, I think the term is manager. So we can add as many as we want. So please indicate to us if you want and who in your office should have that rule. Agat is the contact point for this purpose, but I would definitely like to be aware of your interest on this. I'm looking at the time, and I think I'm taking a little bit longer than I had hoped for. So regarding carbon, this is the key resource for monitoring and reporting. This has already been brought up by Mike. So here we ask cities to report their targets, their actions, and their performance, not just the inventory, as I was referring to, but also their energy mix, and including the percent of renewable energies. In a later stage, and this will depend on funding availability, we may also include in Carbon a questionnaire that has been developed under the global 100% renewable energy campaign, and the cities can use for self-assessment and benchmarking. This is actually the same questionnaire that in the campaign will be used to award a label, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So going back to ICLEI's offer, I would once again give the floor to you. I would like to hear from you. How would your office or how does your office offer these resources that I mentioned, the ones free of charge and the one if you offer them for free of charge, or if you set a cost for these, and if you'd like to refer to additional resources that you have available, we would of course like to know if that is the case, so that we can prepare the communication materials covering all the relevant information, and so that we can adequately coordinate here and provide correct information when we are questioned about it. So back to you, and perhaps we can hear from all the offices that are in the call. So in alphabetic order, for example, Ashish from South Asia, would you like to comment on this? Ooh.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Ashish.
Yeah, but I think it's a good initiative, and I think most of our cities, at least the urban, the cities which have been participating in urban LEDs for quite a long time, would definitely be interested, you know, and then taking advantages of what we are offering under this 100% RE campaign. And you have mentioned about a lot of things about the technological options that we are offering under, you know, pool of experts and solutions gateway. So those are also a lot of benefits that our cities will be, you know, getting out of those offerings. So yeah, I think it's a good beginning, and then we hope our cities participate very actively in this.
Thank you, Adi. I think through your comment, you really highlighted something that I missed and I shouldn't have, and I apologize because I assumed that your presence in the webinar, your interest in this topic meant that your office would be interested in participating in this. But you're right, I'm giving you a lot of new information, so I need to hear from you whether indeed your office wants to engage in this, and so. Let's put that as the first question, and then look at these details that are on this slide. So back to all of you. I see Felicitas. I don't know Felicitas. Sorry, I don't think we've met before. I don't know where you are based. Oh, World Secretariat. My apologies. My apologies. Okay, Mike or Angie? Oh, I've skipped Angie. My apologies, Angie.
No problem, Anna. Yes, so in the U.S. we have a number of resources that we provide to local governments, specifically on solar, and this is through funding that we currently have from the U.S. Department of Energy. So we create resources in the way of fact sheets, case studies, webinars, and so forth. We also have the capacity to actually go to a city and do a workshop or some customized technical assistance one-on-one with that city. So we're very happy to share those resources. One of, let's see, and of course, for any of our network ICLEI members, certainly we're always happy to engage them in the conversation about renewable energy beyond solar, and provide peer sharing opportunities or additional resources that they might need as they ask these questions. One question I have for you, Anna, is as you know, there are a number of advocacy organizations based in the U.S., but many of these are global organizations who are setting up a 100% renewable energy network or campaign specific to the U.S. And so I'm curious as to how you would suggest we go about aligning or coordinating with such an effort at the country or national level.
I would actually ask you for more information, if you have it, regarding that national campaign that is going on, regarding who is leading it. I'll be happy to explore and to look into it. Is it being led by an NGO? Is it the government?
Yes. It's NGO based and primarily advocacy organizations. So, for example, the Sierra Club is one of the lead organizations. World Wildlife Fund is involved. 350.org, Greenpeace, Environment America, and so on. I will send you some follow-up information. But we're interested in aligning, and making sure that we're not hopefully running into each other. And I can see a scenario where we might be both organizations or both campaigns connecting with the same city. And that, of course, gets somewhat confusing to cities, especially because I think they're also calling their campaign 100% renewable energy. And so we'll just need to kind of work through some of those details.
Yes, thank you very much for flagging that. Indeed, that can be a problem. The ideal scenario is if we indeed find a way to cooperate and to take advantage of synergies that for sure we can generate through this, but definitely to define, let's say, the terms with which the different campaigns, the different parties would be comfortable with. I'm assuming that the coordinator of the global campaign, to which ICLEI is a member, and I'll tell you a bit more about this in the coming slides. I know that Sierra Club is also a member. I believe it's a member. It's not just a supporter. I believe it's a member. But we can see more in a future slide. So I'm assuming that there is already some level of contact. So I'll inquire with the coordinator of the global campaign. But I will also bring this up internally to discuss, for example, with Marika and Monica, and see what they advise if they see risks that we should take into consideration. So thank you very much for flagging this, and look forward for that additional information through email. Thanks, Angie. I would invite...
Anna, Siegfried here.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Siegfried.
Yeah, I can only support what Angie says. I mentioned 2 networks, one German, one European, one already, and there are quite a number more. So in terms of resources, we can provide here from the European Secretariat is definitely pass some information on to you there. When you talk about resources we can provide in actually providing services to cities, it's a capacity issue here. You had a question on your slide for a cost or free of charge. Unless we can really fund it through some project work that's linked to it, I don't see much chance of us providing a lot of services for free.
Thank you, Siegfried. And that brings me also to a topic that I also wanted to discuss with you, this issue of the funding for our activities. I have to tell you that so far the work that we are doing in this work stream is unfunded. Of course, we will try to partner both with the campaign partners, the other entities, the other organizations engaged in the campaign, and also with cities that may be interested. We will explore opportunities for joint proposals to try to really secure funding, but so far we don't really have any dedicated resources for this purpose. So actually, let me see, I think it was actually just this slide. I wanted to hear from you if there might be opportunities of existing initiatives and processes that you have going on that we could just take advantage of the work that you are already doing and also profile it within the network. So, for example, Angie was giving the case that the ICLEI USO has funding from the U.S. State Department, and this is great. I will ask for Angie and Mike for more details after this webinar, so that when people ask me about the activities of ICLEI USA regarding renewable energies, I can provide the adequate information. And so I would also be interested in hearing from you if there might be projects that you could use, that you can have going on, or activities that you have going on that might be used for this purpose. In the case of East Asia, we had already exchanged briefly on one of the programs, so perhaps I will invite Raul to take the floor next. Raul, would you be able to share a little bit about the energy safe cities?
Yeah, can you hear me, Anna?
Yes, hello, Raul. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thank you. Firstly, thank you very much for calling together this webinar. It's been very useful so far. I've particularly enjoyed listening to the comments from different colleagues across the world, Angie and Mike, and also Adi, and also Stephen. To give you a brief idea of where we are, actually, we are working with cities that have so far not committed to 100% renewable energy. So these are cities that are what we can call as candidate cities, that are at this time exploring the idea of what it can be to be 100% renewable. So they require a lot of, I would say, capacity building. So for us, the primary activities really are to help them have a vision of what 100% renewable energy means, sectorally and you know, over time. So over whatever target year it is, maybe 2030, 2040, 2050, how can we help them visualize what it means to become 100% renewable in your urban energy supply? So that's really our biggest challenge. And in terms of, you know, in terms of what I've been hearing so far in the conversation, I perceive we are very much in our infancy. We are still working with local government leaders and personnel, in some ways germinating the idea in their minds to look ahead, to look forward. And for us, I think what we need more than case studies and access to webinars is face-to-face discussion, one-on-one training, I would say. So to be able to sensitize leaders to the idea of what does renewable energy actually mean, and perhaps case studies for us or webinars are not the most, you know, the most efficacious way or the most efficient way to communicate that idea. I'm still trying to grasp what it could be. Perhaps, you know, visits to Freiburg or visits to the U.S. But then that brings up this question of where's the money? We are quite short-strapped for finances, and you know, in terms, if I were to just directly answer the questions in the previous slide, what capacity do we have? Unfortunately, we don't have much capacity. We don't have technically trained staff. In renewable energy, we have some idea of it, but we have not deployed or implemented programs per se. In our previous professional capacities, we may have, but at the East Asia Secretariat, we're still coming to grips with what we can offer in terms of our office capacity, and we're quite short-strapped. In terms of resources, we have a good network of cities. We work with the help of our country offices, Korea and Japan, and we are building our base in China. So, nevertheless, we do have a fairly good network with cities, and that's really our strength. We can connect these cities to the network, which will be launched the ICLEI 100% Global Campaign. So in that sense, that is our greatest resource, to be able to easily, promptly reach out to these cities and to connect them. But always, like I said, it brings up the question: how do we get the financial resources to be able to materialize this exchange of ideas across the network, and some really robust technical. Some technical capacity development.
Thank you very much, Rahul. This is a very good reality check. And as you were speaking, I was, of course, taking note of this. We will be looking into proposals, of course, and we will, as far as possible, depending on funding lines, we will try to include the offices, the different offices interested in working in this. So thank you. You mentioned the visits to, for example, Freiburg or cities in the USA, and we have seen firsthand, for example, in the Urban Let's project, how indeed such visits can be very inspiring and very helpful to the cities. So we'll keep that in the horizon, and if there are opportunities for proposals, will definitely include that. I have to agree with you that face-to-face discussion is always the best. While we don't yet have the opportunity to take cities to see real cases, live cases. Perhaps in any case we can facilitate face-to-face discussion between cities of different regions, taking advantage of events, international events in which we participate. Like, for example, the COP. I don't know if any of your cities are planning to participate in the COP21 in Paris, but we could definitely explore organizing meetings between cities that are interested in these topics so that they could openly discuss. That's really one of the key purposes of the network, is really to enable that face-to-face discussion. And you're right, that's the best way. The long distance way is the resort that we need to have when the face-to-face is not possible, and that we will use, of course. That we will also take advantage. We must, but let's explore that idea. So, for example, I don't know if any of your cities in your region are going to submit TAP proposals. If that is the case, if they may eventually come to the TAP Pavilion. This is something I would like to discuss. Actually, it's also here in the slides. If you don't mind, do you mind holding a little bit on this thought?
Yes.
And I would definitely like to get back to that. But still, okay, I'll continue. But I would definitely like to hear from the other offices as well. So we've heard from the ICLEI USA, ICLEI Europe. Let's see, South Asia, the South Asia Secretariat, for example, Nikhil or Ashish. Could you please comment on whether you have ongoing projects that support activities that could also be profiled, could be used as part of the network, of the 100% Renewable Energies Network? Hello, Nikhil or Ashish, are you online? Okay, you have to unmute yourselves.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello. Hi, I'm Nikhil here.
Hello, go ahead, Nikhil.
Yeah, we, as you know, on the Urban Leds, we are doing some initiatives on RE, and we are also doing some trainings and also involved in the development. But
Nikhil,
yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. I'm not being able to hear very well. Perhaps could you speak closer to the microphone?
Yeah, is this better?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so our office, we have some activities in relation to renewable systems which we are doing under the Urban Leds, as you are aware of. But in terms of direct projects where we could synergize, we still, for some projects, as you know, we are still involved, like the DES project and other ones. Maybe we can explore those opportunities, but as of now, it's hard to see directly any projects where we could take some funding and support the activities for this network. It can definitely be explored in projects where we are submitting proposals, and some of which are in cooperation with the WS.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much. Thank you all for sharing on this. This was indeed a key topic to address, so thank you very much. I would move very quickly to give you some information on the global campaign then. So this campaign builds on existing initiatives already at national, regional, and local level regarding the 100% renewable energies, and it aims to foster this debate. It has as members these organizations that are listed here. So the World Future Council is actually coordinating the campaign. Members meaning that these entities have an active role. while the campaign supporters that the campaign now lists as 27 entities that are more just in the dissemination and promotion activities. Now, in addition to this, there's an executive committee. The members are actually the first entities that are listed here under members. World Future Council, Fraunhofer, DNet, World Wind Energy Association, and I'm not sure of the full name of this organization, based in Japan and addresses policies. And now I want to show you the structure of the campaign, because indeed the relations with the campaign, between ICLEI and campaign, have not been very easy. And this is the reason. We now have, we've had a situation where the campaign coordinator, meaning World Future Council, tries to engage the cities directly, which is not acceptable to us, of course. That's not what we signed up for. The mandate that we understand they have is to coordinate with the entities that are members or partners to the campaign, not to interact with the members of those organizations. What we've negotiated with the campaign is that a steering group will be created, and the steering group will then lead the network of local governments and regions. So far, ICLEI has been the active partner in this regard, and so this was both this question of the campaign trying to contact directly local governments, which we don't accept, and this issue of Climate Alliance being present as well, which I'm not sure if you are aware, but there is some friction between these two city networks. So this have indeed delayed a little bit the work, so these reasons were the reason why I began the presentation with focusing on the network, on the cities and regions network, which we are moving forward, over which we take ownership, and we will do it regardless of how well these relations with the global campaign go. Of course, we hope that they will continue in a healthy and productive way. And we are, of course, members of the campaign, and we remain as such, and we want indeed to have a healthy cooperation. But just so that you are aware that indeed there have been some frictions here. Key elements of the campaign, not just the network of cities and regions. And I apologize for having taken so long already, but let me quickly wrap up. But also a label. The intention of the label is to give recognition to local governments for the progress that they are doing, for the measures that they are taking, but all of this is still yet to be defined. Here's the important information. Here it is in this slide, just to give you an idea of the timeline. So currently, there's an ongoing consultation process on the label and the criteria and the process of attribution. So nothing is operational yet, and this consultation will continue until 2016, August 2016, as you see here. Currently, the cities can pilot tests and comment on this framework by using a questionnaire, the questionnaire that I mentioned earlier, which can be used for self-assessment and benchmarking. And we would indeed like for our members to fill this and to provide this information to us ICLEI. And then we'll see how we manage this information. So that's one of the elements of the campaign, the questionnaire. There's also a background information document with information and a discussion paper on indicators that was just shared with us. I haven't actually read it. This came in yesterday afternoon. So the definition of the evaluation procedure and criteria will be finalized only in December 2016. So we have plenty of time for this. We have plenty of time to engage with the cities and to really get their inputs. Of course, the cities that engage at this stage will have the opportunity to be profiled, for example, at the COP, and we will have a session at the COP Pavilion that specifically focuses on 100% renewable energies, and we'll be very much interested in profiling the cities there, either through a speaking slot or through materials that we can print. So what do we ask the cities when they want to join? This is our proposal, and if you have any comments or recommendations on this, we appreciate your feedback. The intention is to ask the cities to provide a letter of intent, to, of course, create a reporting profile in the registry, or to update their existing profile, and also to complete the questionnaire that I was telling you about. The pioneer cities that engage at this stage will have visibility opportunity, as I was telling you, and also they have the opportunity to help shape this framework of the global campaign and label. Regarding internal governance, I haven't actually mentioned this, but it's useful to know. So far, the global liaison with mayors has been done by Monica in two major events: at the Vatican meeting just a few days ago, and also at the World Secretariat. So here's the list of cities, and I'll also provide an internet web page that focuses on the 100% renewable energy, and I will list there the contacts in a Google Drive file. I will list the contacts that have been made, and I would also invite you to also share with us any contacts that you do with cities on this topic. This doesn't have to be detailed, but just a brief overview so that we know what's going on. The core group on this work is Kumar, Marika, and myself. Gat is also engaged as backup. The operational correspondence, please copy me whenever relevant. The city's engagement. This is where I would like to hear from you on how you would like to engage and to what extent. For example, we've mentioned that we would like to invite cities. If there are cities in your region that are perceived as good candidates for this, how would you like for such city engagement to take place? So we can see, for example, a mixed model taking place, either direct contacts through mayors or with the engagement of the offices. I believe a mixed model will be the reality, but I would like to hear from you on this. Perhaps Angie, your mic, and I would like to give the floor to you because we have a couple of events coming up, not just the COP, but in New York, the UN summit in September. So regarding contacts in this regard, how would you prefer contacts to take place? We would, of course, like you to take ownership. We would, of course, always copy you in any written communication by email, but would like to hear from you, your recommendations.
Certainly. I think if we have the information, we can disseminate it through our network. I think we just need to understand exactly what it is that ICLEI is offering and how the cities engage, and then we're ready to make those contacts. But I do think that it's good for us to take the lead if possible. just because there are sometimes things going on, in the city that we're aware of that perhaps World Secretariat would not be aware of, in the way of other initiatives or, some relationship building or something that's going on there. So we're happy to take the lead with your guidance.
Okay, great. Thank you, Angie. I think that makes perfect sense. I'm assuming that's the position of the other offices. But if not, if there's any office that has a different opinion, please speak. Please speak up. Otherwise, I'll assume that that's the general feeling. Thank you very much, Angie. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just another comment to build on that. And just something that I'd like to recognize in general. I mean, Angie mentioned having the a lot of information to be able to provide them in terms of what this is, what are they committing to, what we can provide. I think that has been a challenge for us with the TAP, and I think that there may be somewhat of a campaign fatigue, especially if it's perceived as not something that has some real sort of tangible hooks. I think that's going to be really key to getting some active engagement among these cities. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yes, thanks for flagging that, Mike. Actually, you remind me of something that is key. So before, Angie had also raised the issue of having the materials before going out to the communication. So I would like to hear from the different offices who should be copied on updates regarding this topic. So we would definitely invite you to comment on the different materials that we prepare before we finalize them for the different purposes. So can be the flyer, can be the website, and so on. You are, of course, welcome to provide input and also to let us know if something else is missing, as mentioned earlier. So if each one of the offices that is on the call could confirm to me who from their office wants and should be copied in emails with updates on this campaign, I'll make sure that we circulate the information internally before we go out to the contacts to the outreach for cities. Perhaps through an email after this call, I would appreciate if you could let me know, just in the interest of time. I'm very sorry that I've been taking so long. I really hadn't accommodated for this much time. I would like once again to invite you to let us know about the cities that you would see as potential members for the network, and once again, Raul, please don't mind that I am targeting you, but I think that perhaps the cities that you have in the project we mentioned earlier could be good candidates for this, since they will be exploring, if I understand correctly, the definition of the setting of such a target. So I would definitely like very much to get your input on this.
Right. Yeah. I will definitely email you for the interest of time and everybody here. Okay. I will email you immediately after
the
webinar.
Okay,
Thank
wonderful.
you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I would ask the same for the other colleagues. So very briefly, these are some of the resources. Let me tell you that this presentation will be made available through the internet. I will share the link after the session. I would like to discuss with you, in particular, the TAP Pavilion and with the CLAY USA, the New York Summit. One information that I haven't mentioned before is that the global campaign actually has some funds to perhaps fund 1 to 2 mayors to go to the summit. But of course, for that to happen, we would need to discuss and agree on a format for any initiative. So I'll try to follow up bilaterally, engaging UNIS and ICLEI USA on this topic. Regarding the TAP Pavilion, I would like to make this call to all of you. If indeed your cities have projects on renewable energies that could qualify, I would encourage you to try to seek this opportunity for visibility and mobilization. Several activities will take place at the TAP Pavilion, and these indeed can open doors. A list of events will also be put on Google Drive, and so the link will also be available, and I'll invite you to also share events from your region that are related. Regarding the partnerships, Angie already brought up the USA 100% campaign, so we'll exchange on that. I have here listed also a partnership we intend to settle with a university in Canada. But if you'd like to flag other opportunities, please let us know. And I'm just running through in the interest of time. If you still have a few minutes, I would like to invite Nikhil to also share a few slides with us. He prepared a very nice compilation of external resources that can also be good sources for us to start exploring this topic. Nikhil, how would you like to do this? Shall I make you presenter, or do you want me to bring up the presentation in my computer?
Yeah, you could bring it up on your system.
Yes, okay. Oh, hold on. And once again, to all, my apologies for taking so long. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you, Nikhil, but it's helpful if you are close to the microphone. It really helps.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll quickly run through some external resources such as websites or publication studies, guidebooks, which I've come across for 100% RE, which can be a starting point for all of this. Next slide, please. So, yeah, the obvious one starting at the home stretch is our partner's website, the Global 100% RE campaign. So the website has a map with a number of RE, 100% RE initiatives across regions, and you can zoom in and find details on at what level are these targets for, are they at the sectoral level, community level, for a city, a town, or a region. There are also case studies on this, on how regions are transitioning towards 100% RE. Another website is the Go 100% RE network website, which again has similar resources, a map, and also some plans, RE plans, 100% RE plans, and case studies, which are again which can be found as per sector or region. Next, please. Hello, Anna. Can you go to the next slide?
Sorry for the lag time. I think you can see it now. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and the Solutions Project is an initiative to promote transition to 100% renewables in the United States. So they have come up with kind of a roadmap with the Stanford University for each state. What could be the ideal mix of RE sources to go towards 100% renewables? And they also have interesting infographics where interestingly, they have quantified the co-benefits in terms of how many jobs will be created or what would be the costs, avoided health costs or mortality costs, which could be interesting. I wouldn't go into the RES Champions League, which Anna has already talked about.
Sorry about this. I'm sorry about this. Here we go.
So, yeah, and now coming to some documents and guidebooks. The first one is targeted for cities. It's by the World Future Council. It has the key principles that cities should follow for the strategy, what are the different options and instruments for cities, and guidance on the process and case studies. The second one is a policy handbook, which again has case studies and it brings in key components of the strategy in terms of the technical details of the technologies used, how the political wing is rallying behind the strategy, what are the barriers faced in particular sectors, like say your building sector with the issues in ownership, and what solutions have been evolved and implemented for this. It also draws some findings from these case studies to make the case for 100% renewables in terms of the benefits, what sectors should be focusing, what the sector should be focused on, and also some recommendations to make the strategy holistic and realistic. Next slide.
Do you see it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It's also a publication specifically for RE in urban transport, and two documents, one guidebook and a report specific to the European region with guidance on the key steps, what are the key enablers, what approaches have been followed, and case studies. The next one. And there are many tools for low carbon energy planning. So the LEDS Energy Toolkit is a recent publication by the World Watch Institute, which basically is a quick guide for various leading methods and tools, low cost or open source tools, which are available, and it just gives you a quick reference of what the tool is about, what is the applicability, what are the inputs required, what outcomes can you get. So all this can be explored further, and I'm sure all the offices will be having some inputs or feedback on the tools listed here or in this toolkit, and other tools also which could be used and applicable in the context of the network. That's it from my end.
Okay, thank you very much, Nikhil. This is indeed a very useful compilation of resources. I was aware of some of them, including the resources of the global campaign, but indeed there are several that are new to me, so of course I'll also put this this presentation that you've prepared in the internet page so that other colleagues can access. This was what we had to present. I apologize for taking as much of your time, but I would still like to give you the opportunity for some quick questions, some burning questions that you may have, perhaps 5 minutes. So if you'd like to take the floor, please go ahead.
Anna, this is Angie. I do have one quick last question regarding the definition of 100% renewable energy. Has that been disseminated or agreed upon? I'm curious about whether or not renewable energy credits will be included in that.
Mm-hmm. Noted. There is a definition as part of the campaign, and I'm happy to share it with you. And this is still open for commenting. It does not refer specifically to credits, as far as I recall. But I'll definitely look into that and try to give you a reply as soon as possible. Of course. Thanks for flagging it.
Okay.
Any other last minute questions and comments? Of course.
Siegfried here.
Go ahead, Siegfried.
Yeah. Not so much a question. I just would like to add to what Michael said before. We have to be careful not to get too much of a campaign or initiative fatigue, and maybe to avoid when we are approaching cities to get the reaction of another campaign to join, is if you present it more not as a new thing to join, but rather something that helps them with what they are doing already through their sustainable energy action plan or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's a great
not
idea.
presented as so much as an additional burden, an additional complaint to them, but something that complements what they are doing already.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. That's a very good point. Thanks for that. Other questions or comments? Everything is welcome.
Can we say thank you?
Yes, of course. And thank you to all of you. This call was overdue, and so I'm very glad that you've made yourselves available for this exchange. But this is just a kickoff, so please let us continue to exchange bilaterally by email as needed, and later on, if we see the need for it, we can schedule another call, of course, or another web meeting. So I will send an email with the briefly summarizing some of the questions and some of the resources that are available to you. I would like to hear from you, for example, who are the contact points as mentioned early. And once again, thank you very much. Thank you for your participation. This is a very hot topic, the 100% renewables. So this is definitely something in which ICLEI can take a very important role. So I hope you can all engage actively in this. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a very good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Bye.
Thank you.